Hi everyone, my name is Amber, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to Bookmas. So as I've been saying, I don't know which order I am uploading these videos in, so this may be the second Bookmas video you've ever seen from me, or it could be the 14th, I just don't know. But I will leave a link to the playlist of all of my Bookmas videos for 2021 down in the description box below. If you'd like to check it out, I would be so grateful, and hopefully you enjoy all of these end of the year videos. So today I've decided to talk about books that I think are underhyped for various reasons. You may or may not agree with me, I don't really know until you start commenting. If you do agree, let me know. If you don't agree, also let me know. I would love to have a discussion in the comments down below. I've split this up into two parts. So the first part is going to be new releases for 2021 that I think deserved more hype this year. The second category is books that I read in 2021 but weren't necessarily released this year. They're just books that I think deserve more hype and they've been out for a while, so I think people should be talking about them more. Without further ado, let's get on to the books. So the first one I want to mention is actually one of the first 2021 releases, that I read this year, or late last year maybe, and that is Happily Ever After. So this is a cute YA contemporary about a girl who wants to get into this kind of art school academy thing because she's very passionate about writing, except she is currently in a writer's block, or a writing slump I guess you would call it here on BookTube. Maybe, I don't actually follow many author tubers. She meets a cute guy who is also a baker, and he goes to this school as well, and he's really passionate about baking. She kind of wants to get in with the cool crowd and reinvent herself, but she keeps coming back to this baker guy who's not really all that cool, but he is really lovely and sweet. And I love this one. This was actually the author's debut, and I think it's a very strong debut. I did read her second book. I didn't think it was as good. I think I mostly like this one for the food and the baking, also the mental health disability rep as well. I probably talk about this more in either my December 2020 wrap up or my January wrap up. I can't remember exactly when I read it, but not many people have been talking about it, and I think they should be because it's a really good YA contemporary. I've been staring at this trying to figure out if it's wonky, and I just don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe that's a little bit better. I'm not too sure. Okay, and so the next 2021 release that I think is underhyped is Shipped by MG Cogman. So I definitely read this one in January and I gave it 5 stars. It's one of the best books I've read all year. This is another contemporary book. This is an adult romance. So this is kind of an enemies to lovers sort of thing, where there is a feud between the main character and her male co-worker. They work for this travel company and they are both chosen to go on this new cruise that the company is doing to check it out, write about it, and figure out how to market it. And they're kind of rivals at work going for this new promotion, and the main character is convinced that this guy is going to get it. I loved it because of the setting. It's set in the Galapagos Islands, which is a place that I'm dying to go to, but it's not very kind of environmentally friendly for me to do so at the moment, so I'm very conflicted. But it's somewhere that sounds beautiful, looks beautiful, and I would love to go and see them one day. And not only that, but it also talks a lot about feminism and how women are treated in the workplace, which isn't what I expected from going into this book. I've actually done a full review for this one, so I'll link it above. I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was funny and charming and I just loved it, so definitely check this one out if you haven't already. The next one is called Falling, and again this is another 2021 release. I read this one quite recently and it's definitely gone under the radar for most booktubers, I think. I have seen it on a few channels but definitely not too many, and I first discovered it because it was on display in Waterstones, so maybe it is gaining some traction, but it's a very small hardback and I'm not sure many people want to buy it because it's so expensive. It's such a tiny book. This is a adult thriller. The main character, well, there's three main characters. One of them is a pilot, the other one is his wife, and the third main character is a flight attendant. So the pilot and the flight attendant go up on a plane, and then the pilot's wife gets held hostage. The pilot is told that she and his whole family will be killed unless he crashes the plane at a yet to be specified location. And the whole book is basically a thrilling ride to try to figure out how exactly they're going to stop this potentially terrorist. They don't really know what the guy is doing, what he's up to. Oh, and there's also an FBI agent as well who's related to the flight attendant. But anyway, it's actually a really good book. So I don't think it's going to win any awards. I don't think it's fantastic. This is another debut that I really enjoyed. It was very well written, and from looking at reviews on Goodreads, it sounds like because the author used to be a flight attendant, she actually really knows her stuff, and it sounded as though she used all the lingo and things, and it was very realistic in terms of what would actually happen if a plane was hijacked like that, and all of the procedures and yeah, lingo talk amongst the flight attendants. I really enjoyed it. Again, I don't think it's the best book ever written, but it's definitely very enjoyable, and I think more people should read it if they're into thrillers. Next we have Where the Rhythm Takes You, which is actually another debut. I've actually got, oh, these are all debuts. I didn't mean for that to happen. This might be why they're underhyped. So this is a YA contemporary book set in Tobago, and the main character has a best friend who has left the island and become a really famous singer. He's in a band. They've stopped talking. He and his band come back and stay in her father's hotel, and she has to sort of give them tours on the island and stuff because his bandmates have never been to Tobago before. They don't know where to go, what they're doing. And I really enjoyed this one. First of all, again, I love the setting. I tend to really enjoy island settings or just anything that's not the US or UK. And France, I don't really like France as a setting for some reason. Anyway, I very much enjoyed the setting. I loved the relationship between the main character and the guy who was in a boy band and how they fell apart or grew apart and then slowly came back together. I thought that was lovely. Love the main character's kind of growth in this book as well. She is dealing with the loss of her mum, not recently, but a while back, I think. So it's not fresh grief, but the grief is obviously still there. She's still growing up as a teenager without a mother, and I just loved everything about it. I also love that the author included a playlist at the end, and there are actually some artists there that I didn't realise were from Trinidad and Tobago, but they are, and they're actually really well-known songs. That was fun to find out. And then the next one, again, is another debut. This is The Prison Healer. This is a YA fantasy book, and I mainly included this one because, again, it's not the most well-written book, but it's one that I very much enjoyed because it was just so fast-paced, and I really liked the twists in it. The twists were absolutely fantastic. I thought that they were going to be kind of revealed at the end, but instead there was some twists like sort of scattered throughout, and I thought it was really well done, and I can't wait to read the sequel actually, which is already out because I think the author has been releasing books in this series every 6 months instead of the usual every year. So I do need to get my hands on the sequel at some point. I didn't request it for review because I knew that I was going to buy it at some point, and I'm going to do that in the next few months, I think, ready for the third book to come out. And the next books in this list are all ones that I read in 2021, but they were released earlier. So the first one is maybe not all that underhyped in certain circles, but it definitely is kind of in the wider booktube community, and that is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. So I thought everyone but me had read this one before I read it like a few years ago. This was a reread this year, but it turns out it's not just me who hadn't read it, and a lot of people haven't yet discovered it. So I think this one's very much underhyped because I know that sci-fi fans know that it's a great series, but a lot of people who aren't already fans of science fiction don't really know that this is a really good book to start with, and it's also a really good one if you don't like fast-paced books and you want a book about found family, which isn't really what you'd expect maybe from sci-fi books, at least to this extent. So everyone keeps saying that there's no plot. I would disagree, there is a plot, but the plot is that the family are coming together. I love this book so much, and in my opinion it's always going to be underhyped no matter what, and I would love for this to be turned into some sort of TV show or film or adapted in some way, maybe a graphic novel. Actually, that would be really cool. The next one is Miracle Creek by Angie Kim. I read this one in October, I think, and it's absolutely fantastic. I gave it 5 stars. So this is a contemporary book, and it's also kind of a mystery sort of almost thriller. So in this one, the main family came over to the USA from Korea, and the dad was a doctor, I think, and he started this miracle submarine which basically treats patients who have cerebral palsy, autism, infertility is one of them as well. And then this miracle submarine, which is basically like an oxygen tank chamber thing, explodes and kills some people, and this book follows the court case after the fact, after the incident. And I think I've done a whole review on this one as well. At least I haven't at the time that I'm recording this, but I'm hoping that I've posted it by now, by the time you're watching this. And I've really enjoyed watching all of the different characters kind of tell their story, tell their sort of like twist on the event. Very good and very intriguing, and I loved it, so I gave it 5 stars. And I think more people should read this if they're into mystery thriller or even contemporary books. I think you'd enjoy this one if you like literary drama. Next we have Amari and the Night Brothers, and I know that in my own circle of booktube and book blogging, a lot of people have read this one, but it hasn't got many ratings on Goodreads, and I think that's an atrocity. So this is a middle grade book. It follows a young girl called Amari whose brother has gone missing. She joins this secret sort of institute where she is trained to use her magical powers, and her brother went through the same thing before he disappeared. He became an agent and then vanished, and she joins and she wants to find him. I just love this one. I read this one while I was on holiday. It was really like fast-paced and fun, quite dark in some places for a middle grade book. I don't read many middle grade books, so maybe that's normal now. I've really enjoyed this one, and I love all the characters as well, and I had a bit of a ship. Not that I was, you know, actively shipping them, but I really wanted them to be best friends forever. I thought that was really adorable. Next we have This Place, which is a graphic novel collection. I believe it's written and drawn by multiple people who are all Native Canadians. I think the term is First Nations, but I don't know if that's kind of a separate group of Native American Canadians. And it goes through various points in history and talks about big historical events or even just kind of mythology. And I think this one is highly underrated. I've not seen it talked about at all, really. I think I saw one booktuber talk about it and recommend it, and then that's why I picked it up. And since then, I don't think I've seen anyone else talk about it, but it's honestly fantastic. I would highly recommend it. It's one that I definitely want to reread after I've read a few more books about Canadian history, because I don't don't think this is a very good introduction in that it doesn't slowly introduce you to historical events, it just sort of throws you in there, which I guess is kind of a good introduction because now I want to read more about them. But if you're looking for something really kind of educational and informative, you're probably going to have to read other stuff. But the way this was told was really, really good, so I'd highly recommend picking up this one. It is very expensive though. I believe it might be indie published, and that will be why. Next we have Invisible Women, and I don't think I've seen many people talk about it this year. I saw some people talk about it last year, I think, or the year before, and then it sort of kind of dropped off everyone's radars. And I listened to this one while I was running, and it made me so mad and made me run faster. It was a really, really good book. I've recommended it to so many people. So it's non-fiction about invisible women, basically, about how society, Western society in particular, but also some South Asian societies, are designed to ignore women. So like transport hubs, public transport systems, commuter towns, they're all designed to favour men, and even drug trials and the like, all of it centres around men, and women are ignored in data. It's one that I would definitely like to reread. I'm going to get a physical copy of it, I think, so I can highlight it and refer back to it because it's very, very interesting. And finally, the last one I have for books that I read in 2021 is After the Flood. So this one I think I received from a giveaway, I think, and I wasn't expecting to love it so much. I picked it up because I was trying to read through my backlist. It actually turned out to be really, really good. So this is post-apocalyptic. In this world, there has been a climate crisis and everything is flooded. So the United States, I think it's North America, Central America, I can't remember if South America is included, has kind of been separated up into different islands now because of the way the water has flooded. And the main character lost her daughter, I believe, lost a child when they were a lot younger. Now she has the means to find that child again because she's heard that they are still alive. So she sets off on a mission, I guess you could say, to go and find that child on a different island, which is like on the other side of the continent, or what was a continent. And it's just a really, really good book. I love this one for the kind of climate change aspect of things, and it's one of the books that have really gotten me quite passionate about cli-fi this year, which is something that I probably will make a video about next year, about all the cli-fi books that I want to read and check out. And I think it's really underrated. I've not seen anyone on BookTube talk about this, actually. Certainly within my own circles, I don't think I've seen anyone that I don't normally watch recommend it, but I think it's a really good book, and it's just kind of devastating in so many ways, but I would highly recommend reading it. So those are some of the books that I think are underhyped. Let me know if you agree or disagree, if you think some of them are actually really popular and I've been living under a rock. A lot of these will probably be featured in various other videos during Bookmas, so hopefully you're not too bored of me talking about them. But I figure if you're just discovering my Bookmas videos now or my YouTube channel, then you wouldn't have heard me talk about these before, so this is the perfect time to hype them up because they all deserve it. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll speak to you all in the next one. Bye!